It is the senior most community pharmacist, Dr. Tuli.
Tompo assembling.
Oh, no lie. Then I say if your driver can't pick you, I make you people give me lift go, shackers inside now. I'm at say so on link copy. But
Tompo 11 p.m.
Oh, if it comes a seed in the who give me, I guess of entanglement before that side.
You know they hear social distancing, eh?
To leap from D, same crowd, the whole. As I be young in the Amas are they cool. If you no go pick me to catch him and small left.
See, this be the problem. Who tell you say corona affects youngins? If you know they care about your life, if a guy say NSL over 50 years, away get hypertension, way poppy to be diabetic. Charlie them their cold will mess them up.
You are go wear face shield.
And that changes anything? That thing they protect only your eyes.
Plus face mask.
Charlie, the youth will they take this thing for granted. It may not kill you, but if it give you long-term damage to vital organs like your lungs, if you go get for outside cargo house, they give your OGs where them die. Will you be able to fend for yourself?
Chama, so I can say because unless I start, they do Yahoo, I enter Benino, na phone cost me this the COVID itself make it left one at top.
If people know they follow simple directions like social distancing, hand washing, wearing face mask and things, the COVID no go anywhere. And the way they make careless there, it be like you no go left with anytime soon.
So to say my shadow make beans eh?
If you love yourself and the people around you, they house and take your shadow go do go back cry.
You are here, you more like dog me. So they kill my vibe cry. They can go play my FIFA. And keep fighting with positivity.
All right, so thank you everyone for sticking around and still listening to us. Our second section is pretty much gonna be on something that everybody, I mean, especially in January of every year after you go on your 31st night and you have all your yearly resolutions, you tell everyone, hey, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna exercise, and I'm doing all those kind of things. And now the question becomes, is it a sustainable thing that you can do? As we are getting to the middle of February, a lot of people have thrown these resolutions to the side, including myself. But today we're going to dive into whether this is a sustainable lifestyle that you can live, or it's just something that we all talk about and just not really worry about it. So to join me today, as Kwame has already mentioned, I'm going to have Priscilla and Eric join me to do the discussion. Hey, Priscilla, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. How about you, Eric? All right. So whilst we try to get Eric on the line, I would like for you to introduce yourself to us, Priscilla. Tell us a little bit about what you do, even though we've given a little snippet of it.
Yeah. Thank you for this this opportunity. So I am currently in the US. My original career was medicine, and then after I moved to the US, I moved into the area of public health, and I'm specialized in like health, wellness, nutrition, coaching, and just things that can empower people to take better care of themselves. So.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Eric, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hope
awesome, you can hear me. Awesome. So tell our beautiful listeners about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I am a registered dietitian here in Ghana, and I currently practice at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, where I mainly do a lot of clinical nutrition stuff. I also have a background in public health, so I tend to also have a passion for preventive health, but particularly about non-communicable diseases and how they also impact our health in general. So then how to use nutrition to prevent some of these non-communicable diseases is one of the things I'm passionate about.
Great. Thank you very much for that. So we'll go straight into our discussion today about, healthy living and as a lifestyle, or if it's just a fad. So the first thing we wanted to talk about is what actually is healthy eating, right? There was an interesting story about a guy who went to the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, you have to reduce how much fufu you eat, right? And then the doctor said, well, instead of getting 2 balls of fufu, you got to get 1. So when he went home, he just merged the 2 together, and I think he thought it was just okay with him, right? So the question is, how do you define what healthy living is? And we know that in Ghana, somebody who has a pot belly and looks fat, is seen as somebody who's rich. So with a lot of our listenership coming from Ghana and all of that, I want you to touch on what healthy eating is and why we should actually encourage it.
All right, sure. So I'll take that. So healthy eating simply means that you are eating, number one, a variety of foods that helps to provide you with the nutrients you need, first of all. And its goal is to help you to maintain your health, to give you energy, and also just make you to feel good. So then the key takeaway here is that healthy eating involves eating, number one, a variety of food. So then your food has to be varied to give you all the nutrients you need. And the reason why we say the nutrients you need is because then there's no one right way to eat healthy. And it might vary for every individual as well. So then it's supposed to provide the nutrients you need. And then the goal of healthy eating is then to maintain your health, number one. And two, you should also be able to get enough energy from eating healthy. So then we've seen a lot of studies that have looked at how healthy eating can promote resilience. That is your capacity to manage stress. So then there's some form of evidence that eating healthy can also do all of that. There are some principles also that surround healthy eating. I'll just make them summarize in what we call the ABCMV. So it's very easy to keep in mind. So the number one for A is adequacy. So healthy eating should provide you the adequate amount of nutrients you need. So adequacy is very important, whether carbohydrates, protein, fat, which are the macronutrients, which is you need them in relatively large amounts. And also your vitamins, your minerals, and water, they should be adequate enough to maintain your health. Then two, we also talk about balance. So that's a B. So your meals need to be balanced to provide you all that right amount of nutrient that we all need. So then it's not about a one-size-fits-all approach, but then there should be some balance in what you do. Then the C there stands for calorie control, where whatever you still eat should be able to give you enough calories to not make you go over your weight or also go below your weight. So then it just helps you to achieve and maintain a healthy weight, which is very, very important. Then the M there, so it's A, B, C, M, D. M there's moderation. So then there are some who would say that, oh, because they say fruits are good, when mango is in season, I'll sit behind a pan of mango, eat all of that. Yes, mangoes are good, fruits are good, but moderation is key. So then, in as much as we are promoting all these healthy things, we should also keep in mind moderation. And the last bit of it is variety. If you don't have varied meals, you're not likely to meet the nutrients you need. So then having a varied meal gives you that opportunity to be able to meet all the nutrients you need. That helps you to maintain your health, helps you to feel good, and then also gives you the right energy you need to be able to empower your day.
Awesome. So I mean, just to piggyback on what you just said about moderation and adequacy and all of that. So I'm just gonna assume I'm somebody who doesn't know anything about that. How do you define what adequate is, right? So to someone, adequate is like a large sum of food until they feel like I'm full. How do you define that in a layman term?
Okay. So then we have what we call some reference intakes. So there are some standards we have that helps to define how much of nutrients you need per your age, per your sex, and also per your life circumstances. So then we try to look at all those factors. So how old are you, number one? So young children will tend to have different requirements compared to, let's say, an older person. Let's say for calcium, older people may require more for calcium than for a younger child or maybe a regular adult. So then we don't have it fixed per se, but then we try to look at what we call the reference intakes. And then based on your age, whether you're a male or female, whether you are pregnant or not pregnant, whether you are ill or you're not ill, we look at some of all those things and then we try and look at what is required of you. Then we can say, okay, this is what you should be taking for calcium. This is what you should be taking for carbohydrates. Then to come to that also, for the macronutrients, we have a term we call the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. So then we've been able to find from literature some amount of percentage ranges for those macronutrients that are very essential for health. So then maybe for carbohydrates, for example, we could say that for your energy needs, we'll make it about 45 to 65%. So then, based on researches and then studies, we've been able to see that that range is very helpful and it doesn't go beyond what you need. And like I said, it's not set in stone. So then we usually have to look at how old you are, your sex, and then all other clinical conditions to come up with what is adequate for an individual.
Awesome. So that takes us to the next question about, now we do know what healthy eating is, right? So then we want to focus on what is not healthy eating. When do I say that, hey, you know what, you're not eating healthy? I think I'll let Priscilla come in with that.
What Eric said, that healthy eating is about, including important nutrients. There are important nutrients that we all need to have, in our diets. At least by the end of the day, you should have, accumulated some amount of healthy nutrients. So that's about healthy eating. So what healthy eating is not, I think when it comes to healthy eating, people think that it's out of their reach. It's too complicated. It's too many demands. It's don't eat this, eat that, and sometimes the information and research keeps changing and all that. But what we want to establish here is that healthy eating is about choosing or making effort to choose more of the healthy items and making extra efforts to reduce more of the unhealthy items, right? So at the end of the day, you have maybe like 70% of your choices are healthy, and maybe 30% could be the unhealthy one. So let's not look at it as, I have to take all of this out of my plate. They've told me, well, I can't eat fufu ever again, or I can't eat this ever again. But let's see more of it. Let's see it as I'm going to try to increase more of the healthy ones and then reduce more of the unhealthy ones. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. Great answer. Great answer.
Yes, go ahead, Eric. Add something. So then, just as Priscilla had said, it's not necessarily about depriving yourself of enjoyable meals. I know when some people hear healthy eating, and in their first of mind, it's like, Charlie, they're going to say that don't deprive yourself of all the foods you enjoy. But that is not really what healthy eating is about. So it's not going to necessarily deprive you of enjoyable meals, but it's just going to empower you to make the right choices. And then based on those right choices, you can also maintain your health and then just live healthy. That's it.
Well, before we go on to our next question, I just wanted to find out, why is it that the unhealthy food is so nice? Why it gotta be so nice, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I think sometimes the food industry, they have tricked us with some of the additives and like the things they add to the foods, like the fats, the sugars, and the salts. We've known of researchers shown that sometimes it has an impact on some part of our brain, the part of our brain that causes us to like the addictive part of our brain, right? So it's part of their strategy to get you to buy more of their product. So that, we can control that part, but. And so the important thing that I hope everyone will get at the end of the day is that to be able to identify that this is healthy, right, and this is not. So I should make an effort to go more towards the healthy, right? And unhealthy, healthy foods doesn't mean it can be sweet, it can be nutritious, it can be delicious, right? You can get options that are healthier than the unhealthy ones, and still get that same, sweet taste, but in a healthier variety. So
great. So this is a conversation that I don't think a lot of our Ghanaian folks have, right? So I remember I had a friend who supposed to be eating healthy, and when you start eating those vegetables, he goes like, oh, vegetables, they are faponchi or something, right? So they try to discourage people from eating healthy. Or you can hear somebody say, oh, well, these are all kind of statements people make, and then it kind of discourages people. So I wanted you to highlight some of the benefits of, going the other way of not eating all your stradinam and, trying to stay within certain amount of food, what benefit does it give to you as an individual?
Okay, sure. So, just as I said at the beginning when I was introducing myself, that I'm very passionate about non-communicable diseases because they are like the #1 contributor to mortality or deaths around the world. Now, when you come to our country, Ghana, we also have our non-communicable diseases growing. Back in the days, it used to be infections, so malaria and all those things. But in recent times, we are seeing a surge in all these non-communicable diseases, hypertension to start with. That's high blood pressure, that's high blood sugars. And then recently, there was a study called the Global Burden of Disease Study, which is something that is done to look at the impact of diseases in countries and around the world. Mm-hmm. And recently, stroke has been highlighted as one of the major contributor to deaths in Ghana. And it's all due to lifestyle factors. So then usually when you follow a healthy diet or a healthy lifestyle, it helps to prevent these non-communicable diseases. We don't always have to wait for a problem to act. But when we proact or when we are proactive, we tend to now kind of look forward to what can come forward. So then we are prepared for it. And eating healthy is one way to prepare to prevent those diseases or ward them off. You can't always say that the risk goes away, but then it lowers your risk of those diseases. And even if those diseases come, okay, like for example, you already have high blood sugars or diabetes. If you eat healthy, it helps to prevent them from getting to very bad stages. So there are people who would have high blood sugars, do nothing about it, and with time, it leads to an amputation, or they have a high blood pressure, which leads to a stroke. When you allow things to go that bad, it becomes more costly to you. So why not invest now in food that is going to help prevent that from happening, at the same time to save you and give you a quality of life? So one, it helps prevent the diseases. Two, even when you have them, it helps you to manage them properly. Then because you are also going to meet all the nutrients you need. For example, like I said, calcium, for example, which plays a very huge role in bone health, and vitamin D. Once you are eating healthy, you are going to be sure that all these nutrients, which are micronutrients, are gotten in the right amount, which will help to give you strong bones, strong teeth, and then help you to be strong. In recent times also, there is this, it's not a new condition per se, we call it sarcopenia in medical terms, but it simply means loss of muscle mass. And typically, it starts with aging. But then, because most people tend to avoid protein as they grow older, because almost say, protein is not so good for you. Yep. We are seeing a surge in loss of muscle mass because people are not meeting their protein needs. And once you start having a loss of muscle mass, with time, your function begins to decrease. When function begins to decrease, independence too begins to decrease as well. You realize that it's just about making those smart choices, but then it helps to ward off all these diseases. So there might be very slight benefits. At the same time, it's going to save you a lot more. So invest now, you don't have to pay later. So you pay now, so you don't have to pay more later. Yeah.
All right. Priscilla, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I mean, he's given very significant benefits of healthy eating. I just wanted to add a bit to that. Also things that we take for granted, like even our moods, right? Our moods are affected by what we eat or what we don't eat. Our sleep health is also affected, and sleep and mental health are all affected by what we eat or what we don't eat. And maintaining our weight. I know weight loss is something that's really important to people.
Oh yeah.
So ability to stay at a healthy weight also depends. A major part of it depends on what we eat, and not only what we eat, but how much, and the timing, and different things that come with that. So, and like the chronic diseases that he also mentioned, the strong bones and teeth and all that. So all these things, are affected by what the choices we make in terms of eating. So.
Great, wonderful. So this is a great discussion, and I'm loving it. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, back home in Ghana, when you talk to people and they say, oh, nowadays there's too much diabetes or hypertension, a lot of the time what I used to hear was that, oh, it's because, you deal with your food and too much, right? So I wanted to see if you're eating a butcher food and too much, is there a correlation between what we eat and where we are from? and those kind of things. How does that play a role in lifestyle, eating lifestyles?
Eric, do you want to take that first?
Okay, sure. So what I think is that, yes, so initially people used to eat what was just available to them.
Yeah.
For example, in old times, there's no way to import food to where you are. You have to hunt and get food wherever you are. Now with time, our choices became very large with all the foods available throughout the season. At first, certain foods will be available just seasonally. But then with advancements in science and all of that, foods can be available all throughout the year. Whilst it may be true that certain westernized diets may be contributing to health problems that we may see in Ghana, our choices also matters to what we have here. Because then if you are not making the right choice of what you have available, then certainly it's going to also give you those kind of poor health that you are talking about. But then, yes, there's some influence that comes from the westernized diet. For example, some of the foods that we consider junk may come from outside food. They're not things that are naturally available here. But then they tend to come into the system and people would want to go for it because then I said, this is a new lifestyle, this is a new craze. So you all want to go for it. But there's some role there but it still doesn't take away the fact that what we have available to can't contribute to disease and we need to make right choices about them as well.
All right, great. Great discussion, of course. And the next question is about what is the plate concept, right? What really should be on my plate when I sit down in the evening and I'm eating, right? So I wanted both of you to look at this and explain to us what a diet or the diet that should go onto a plate when I sit down at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 1 o'clock, as some people will eat very late in the night. What should be on my meal?
Okay, so we needed to make this disclaimer at the beginning that all that we are sharing here, it doesn't supersede what your healthcare provider has told you, right? This is we are within the confines of this program. So there have been different recommendations on what should go into our meals, right? And it's based on the different nutrients that Eric mentioned earlier on. So Harvard has developed this plate called the Harvard Healthy Plate, and it's based on the My Plate concept that the U.S. Department of Agriculture has developed. And it's not just for, I don't want us to think that this is something for Abroche people. This is something that has been studied that's applicable to every society, right? So on the plate, and I think you're trying to share this slide, right? But it's not showing up here. So the components of the plate gives us an idea of what are some of the things that we can put on our plate, and the emphasis is that you are not required to have it on every meal that you eat, but at the end of the day, or within days and weeks and months, this is how your plate should look like. And so the plate is divided into 4 parts, and the description is that you take like a regular dinner plate, you divide it first into 2, then you divide one of the 2 halves into 2 quarters, right? And then the other half into another 2 quarters. So the first part, which we call we describe as the veggies. The recommendation is that veggies should occupy the large. Veggies like the potatoes, the yam, the cassava, and all that. So as much as possible, if you are choosing foods, your first healthy bet is to increase the low starch veggies. then you can also add the high starchy veggies. Then another part of the plate is for fruits, right? So then we recommend. Okay, perfect. The picture shows up now. So this is what I meant, that the veggies, the veggies should occupy the biggest part of your plate. And it's recommended that you have, different varieties, different colors, because they provide us with vitamins and minerals and antioxidants, and all these are helpful for our immune system, right? And that's also one benefit of healthy eating, to protect and to strengthen our immune system, to help us to fight infections like even the COVID that we just talked about. So increase veggies on your diet, and fruits. Have a small amount of fruits every day. And on the next side, we have the healthy protein, right? There are different types of protein. Protein helps us, build more muscle, and also provide some kind of energy and other important things in our body. So the key is to choose healthy proteins. We have healthy proteins and we have unhealthy proteins. So we have plant proteins. Examples of plant proteins, we have like beans, like groundnuts and nuts and other things. So that goes under healthy protein. And we also have animal protein, the healthy animal proteins. We have like the fish, chicken and turkey and guinea fowl, all the things without their skin. Those are the healthy options that you should go for. So as we talk about the healthy protein, we should also be aware of the unhealthy protein, which is like the processed meat, like the sausages, the bacon, all those are unhealthy protein. So the recommendation is that increase more of the healthy protein and cut back or avoid the unhealthy ones that I just described. Then we go to the whole grains. Sorry, I think you jumped the picture to the whole grain part. So that's where you have like the rices, the pastas, the corn and all that. So that for that part too, the recommendation is, increase the whole grains. And whole grains are the types that come with their grain intact, like corn that hasn't, you've gone to mill the corn and you haven't sieved, the whatever out of it. That is the healthy one. The one that hasn't been sieved, go for more of that. Go for oats. If you want to eat rice, maybe 3 times a week, make maybe 2 of those options brown rice instead of white rice, because it's full of nutrients and fiber that will, improve your health. And then the oil, we have the oil on this side. So the recommendation is, we are choosing oil, right? As much as possible, go for healthy oils, and healthy oils are also called the unsaturated, unsaturated fats and oils. So go for types like olive oil and canola oil, and cut back on the tropical ones like the palm oil, the coconut oil, because they are unhealthy. And then if you want to have a beverage with whatever meal you have, as much as possible, your first healthy option is to go for water, right? Drink more water. If you want something else, you can go for tea or coffee with little or no sugar as much as possible, and limit your juices to 1 small glass a day and avoid sugary drinks. So, and then not to forget, the last thing that is most important, it's equally important on this slide, is the last bit with the running man at the bottom, which is stay active. So we can't talk about healthy eating without mentioning the importance of physical activity. It's really important that we combine those two to be able to strengthen and protect our immune system. So the recommendation is, at least 30 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, 30 minutes, like 3 to 5 times per week. And so, it's been shown that people who are able to do that are able to cut back their risk of chronic diseases by half. And it has so many benefits. That's for another session, another day. But let's not forget to be physically active. We need to move, right? And even as much as we are focusing on eating, we can't separate that from physical activity. So a simple thing that I teach the people I work with is, if you hear 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week, it sounds like a lot, but you can break it down. You can break it down into like 10 minutes in the morning before you go start your day, 10 in the afternoon after your lunch, and 10 in the evening after your dinner. That gives you 30 minutes. And if you can repeat this like 3 to 5 times a week, there you go, you get your 150 minutes. So it doesn't have to be, So anyway, so this is about the healthy plates. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Priscilla, for that wonderful explanation. So you ask Eric to add something to this plate.
Okay, sure. So when Priscilla was talking, she was highlighting the various parts of the plate. I wanted to just quickly run through the some of the healthy shopping baskets so that particular food under some of the sections there. So for example, when we come to the vegetables, we may have options such as our own contomere. We could also have our garden eggs there. We could also have alefu, boko boko. So they are replete of local vegetables that we have available that can form part of the healthy plate. So you could have your ayoyo, your onions, your okra. All these things are very essential to be on the plate. Now, when it comes to fruit as well, also, we could also see from our local available ones. So we have our oranges, we have our mangoes, watermelon, banana, apples, pawpaw, pineapple, and then tangerine. So, I mean, all these fruits are locally available. And then the recommendation is that you should be able to fill up half of your plate with the vegetables and also with the fruits as well. Then when it comes to the protein, Priscilla has already highlighted a lot of them. So we could have in our chicken, which could be skinless. We could have in our turkey, our guinea fowl. So I confirm, also very available in the north and other parts of Ghana. So then skinless guinea fowls also make the cut. Our fishes, so the fish oils or the fish with oils in them, salmons, tuna, hake. We have our shrimps. We also have herrings and all of that are also very important to be part of the diet that we have. Then when it comes to whole grains, we are looking at our general oats, brown rice, wheat, sorghum, corn, and we even have Bulgarian wheat. All these are readily available in our part of the world, and they can form part of your healthy plate. So then it's very important to have all of these things so that you're able to help to also meet your health. I'd like to show the plate with the food example so that it's very clear enough how we can put the food together, if that slide can show. Okay, so maybe whilst we wait for that, I wanted to just show you, yes. So then you probably are wondering how you can, replicate the healthy plate. So then this is our own local plantain with contomere and then fish. So then you heard that it's not as difficult as it looks. You can be able to just divide your plate and then give half of that to the starch foods or the grain part of the food of your meal, and then the other half of it goes for the vegetables, and then you have the fish there as well. Then you can form a healthy plate with all the foods that you eat. Thank you.
So great discussion about what should go on that plate, and I'm very impressed about how you presented it, right? But again, the question is this something that is sustainable, right? When people go to funerals, they go to parties, do they make conscious effort to make sure that what they're eating is something that will help them overall? Is it good to cheat? If I'm trying to, I get a little fufu here and there, even though I'm trying to diet. Is it okay to cheat?
Yeah. So I think that's why we mentioned that don't think of this as a total elimination of everything that you usually eat, because then it's not sustainable. So the important thing about this whole healthy eating is that this should be something that it's affordable, right? And it's sustainable. So if it's not something that's sustainable, then it's going to be hard to follow. So right. Yes, you can eat whatever you want. You can choose healthier options of what you want, and you can take a healthy portion. Like when we talk about portion sizes, it's what you put on your plate, right? So so the key is you don't totally have to deprive yourself of what you are eating, except for the no-go areas like the salty, the too much extra salt, too much sugar, and fatty items. Those we encourage you to stay away from as much as possible. But I mean, we are humans, and if you tell people to stop absolute everything, it doesn't always work out. They'll end up going to do it and even do it more than if you hadn't told them, right? So just remember portion sizes. I can have it, but yes, I can have maybe half of what I usually have. I can have maybe I can measure what I have so that I don't go beyond the healthy recommendation. So yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And it's about planning, right? So you just don't this thing. You have to have a conscious effort to be able to do all of this. So what goes into healthy meal planning?
Okay, so one thing that, like you said, a lot of thoughts and efforts would go into having the right meals. So there are some few things that we can just note when it comes to like making a plan or making sure that we're able to eat well. So first of all, you need to be able to plan your meals ahead of time. So then one of the recommendations that maybe you can plan your meals for the week.
Mm-hmm.
You are somebody who works, and then you may not have a lot of time to decide what you want to eat when you wake up in the morning.
Right.
If you're able to sit down and then spend some quality time deciding on what you want to eat throughout the week, it saves you the hassle of then waking up and then asking yourself, or what will I eat at this time, at this point in time. But when you sit down and you make that effort, you just know that, okay, this week or maybe tomorrow, for example, I want to have this in the morning, that in the afternoon, this in the evening. In that way, you save yourself the stress of having to decide what you want to eat on the go. Then you're able to make the right choices, and then you can make more healthy choices, because then the time frame to make that decision is more. But then if you wake up in all the Monday morning rush and then you want to decide what you want to eat, maybe you will not make the right choice. So it's good to plan ahead of time. Now, once you have a plan in mind, then obviously ingredients must go with it. So for example, if I know I want to have oats tomorrow morning, I want to have plantain in the afternoon, I want to have it with contomere, I want to have brown rice in the evening. Obviously, those are ingredients I need to have available. So then it helps you to also create a shopping list. So then if I don't have rice available, how do I create that shopping list? So then you're able to make a list of things you'd want to get to be able to support what you have in plan or what you have in mind. Then there's a recommendation that sometimes also you don't necessarily need to go shopping when you're hungry, because then most of the time when you go in stressed or hungry, you are not likely to make the right choices. So it's very helpful to keep that in mind, that whenever you want to make those healthful choices, you probably will do them when you're less stressful or when you're not too hungry. Then there are also things where you have to keep in mind about perishable foods also. So for example, if I buy foods that will get spoiled within a few days, it's very helpful to buy as much as you would need. So that in that way, you're not forced to overeat them, because say a best saying you want to eat everything, or you are forced to eat everything because you don't want to waste food. So whenever you are dealing with perishable foods, you want to get enough of what you need. So that in that way, you're not forced to eat much, because you want to avoid wasting them or to wasting your money on all of that. So those are some things. And then for those who buy processed food or packaged foods, there will be food labels on them. So then it's also very helpful that you're able to get to know how to read food labels. In that way, you're able to make the right choice of foods that have a lot of fats, excess sugar, because then you're able to mindfully check those out and then make those choices that I want to go in for this, I want to go in for that instead of that, because this is what will support my healthy meal plan or my healthy program. Then, so then basically, these are some of the few things. So I'll just go through what an individualized meal plan could look like. And this one is based on 1,500 calorie diet. So then, for example, this is somebody whose calorie diet has been calculated at around 1,500, and your dietitian can help you come up with a plan like this. So it's not like it comes with magic. There are some calculations behind it. But then once we know what the calorie targets are, what your health goals are, we can come up with a meal plan that supports your goals. At the end of the day, the plan should be something you can prefer, like Priscilla said, it should be sustainable. So we are not going to say go and import foods that are not things that maybe might not be in your reach or might not be affordable for you. But even with your own foods, you can use that to come up with a plan for you. So for example, breakfast this is somebody who we've been able to break breakfast into carbohydrate of 4 carbohydrate servings. Then it translates about 2 soup platters of oatmeal. Then there's some teaspoons of sugar there. Then they have some slices of wheat bread. It's all emphasizing the healthy concept you want to bring out. So then this is whole grains in the meals. And the dairy product the person has there for breakfast is skim milk. So then that's a low-fat type of milk. Then because we also want to make the meals balanced, we are looking for the protein source. So we added the boiled egg to it. And then there was some form of vegetables that was also added just to give it that full plate idea. Now, this person wants to also snack at mid-morning. So on their plan, there's also a fruit supported. So then that 1 serving of fruit translates to an orange. So then that also works on the person's plan. Then for lunch, this individual would want to have about 3 servings of carbohydrates. So that translates to about 1.5 fingers of the plantain, just as you saw in the picture there. Then there was a consomme stew with some amount of steamed chicken without the skin. The reason we are saying without the skin is so that you can take away some of the fats. And then we are saying steam because we don't want you to use frying method that will add more fat to them, and then it makes it unhealthy. So then the skinless chicken takes the fat away or deals with the fat. Then steaming also doesn't bring in more fat. Then in that way, you are going to make sure that the protein you are having is going to be less fatty. So on lunch, there's plantain, there's consomme, and there's also steamed chicken. Now, when we go to, let's say, mid-afternoon, this individual could still have about 2 servings of banana, which also is, workable on the person's plan. And then in the evening, they still would want to have some amount of brown rice with some amount of stew there. Okay, the slide is not showing, but then the evening meal there is presenting 3 stew noodles of brown rice. There is some tomato stew and there's some smoked salmon. Then there's also that vegetable there. So that at the end of the day, that healthy plate concept you want to bring out is still reflected in the person's meal plan. And those will just take some effort, but then once you are able to get conversant with it, you are able to replicate it and then make it part of your daily choices. It doesn't have to be, like I said, foreign-based foods. We have all these foods available, so then you can, if you need help, your dietitian or your healthcare provider can help you come out with a plan that would give you the nutrients you need, number one, and also help you to, maintain your goals for health or whatever outcomes you are looking out for.
Awesome. Priscilla, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I think he's, gone through it quite well. I just wanted to, a few points that one us all to keep in mind is, when it comes to food choices, let's keep these things in mind. One, choose whole foods as much as possible. Choose whole foods over packaged and processed foods. And by whole foods, I mean like the things we get in the natural states, like some of the things that he described, right? Not the package, the frozen foods and all that. We should avoid that as much as possible. Let's cook our own meals. If you do cook at home, you are more likely to choose healthy over unhealthy. So that's the part that I wanted to add to what he said.
All right, great discussion about what food is. And actually, in the words of one of my mentors, he says, food is medicine, right? You can actually use food to prime your body, such that it can fight diseases. So the next, before we wrap up this part of the section, has to do with how are you going to, encourage people to eat vegetables, right? I saw that half of that plate was vegetables, and I'm guilty with this. I go to the grocery store, with my wife, and I always grab that, spinach and all the leaves just to make my cart look good, right? And then I get home, and she's like, "Aren't you gonna eat that vegetable you bought?" And that thing sits there, and I just throw it in the trash. I'm not the only one. They actually did a survey, and there's a lot of people that do that, just to feel good that, hey, I also got some vegetables. How are we going to encourage people to eat vegetables, right, at home? I know we eat fufu and we use garden eggs and all of that. Is that enough, or do we need to eat more?
Okay, I can start and Eric can add it. So when we talk about changing our lifestyle and adding doing some of these things. It might seem overwhelming to people, but if we break it down into simple forms, into practical ways, it's not as highfalutin as it looks like. So let me just use an example. Like for breakfast, right? If you're someone that maybe likes omelets, right? You can add some veggies to your omelet right in the morning. And maybe for lunch, if you are making bean stew or spinach or some kind of soup and things like that, you can just add maybe like carrots. You can put carrots in your stews, whatever stew it is. You can add carrots to your stew. You can add some to your soup. You can blend. I mean, when we are making our soups, right, we use tomatoes. We blend tomatoes. You can add tomatoes. You can add some more carrots, and add it as part of your lunch or your dinner. And for people that like fruits or can make smoothies, if you can afford to make smoothies, you can get a number of fruits together, blend it, and even with the fruits, you can add simple veggies like spinach and carrots into smoothies, and that works. And also as part of snacking, right? Instead of going for the processed like potato chips and fries and all those things, you can just have like carrots, cut carrots up into small chunks, put it in a small bag, have it with you when you're maybe as part of your, if you take food to work or throughout the day, have it there, small pieces of carrots, small pieces of cabbage, cucumber, cut it, and snack on that instead of the packaged foods. And also just like dinner too, you can have these same cabbage, carrots either in the raw form, or you can just steam with salt and water a little bit and add it to your food. So it all starts with a decision, right? If you do come to a point and make that decision that, okay, I'm going to try and improve things in my diet, you will be able to find simple ways to make it happen. It doesn't have to be out of the blue. You don't have to look for things that are out of your reach. Look for things within your reach that you can try to have more of. So that's what I wanted to add.
All right, thank you very much. I think we do have some questions on Facebook, and I'm going to ask my producer to project them, and then we will go through some of these questions. Okay. So we have one coming from Mohammed. Mohammed is saying that, please, is the dietitian going to add? Wait, no. I think he has different. Okay, there we go. He says, I like the dietitian very much, but how many Ghanaians can follow this dining roster? Charlie, we are even struggling to get 3 square meal. Talk about adding the fruit, and he just laughed about that. What do we have to say about this sentiment that Mohammed is sharing?
Yeah, so I think it's also a genuine concern, because then your social history too influences what choices you are able to make.
Right.
But one of the things I always come back to is the fact that whatever you do, you are still going to eat anyway. So then if you are going to eat, then make the right choices with whatever you are going to eat. Now, obviously, when you have financial difficulties, yes, you will not be able to make all the right choices that you want to make. But at the same time, to just keep in mind that whatever you can purchase, there's a way you can still work around that, just to be able to meet the nutrient that you need. Because then some hide behind the fact that I don't have money, and then the trade-offs they may buy in its place may not be the healthful ones. Okay, like they will say, oh, minis can be better fruits, but then they may buy a soft drink that is the same price as the fruit.
Yeah.
So the trade-off is not a healthy one. So then, yes, those financial challenges will make it difficult to make the right choices sometimes. But at the same time, to just keep in mind that if you want to make the choice, or you have the means to make the choice, then make it right. That's all I have to say.
All right, great. So, Mr. Producer, can you put us the next question from Facebook? All right, so I think we have Steve saying that can you eat breakfast of oatmeal in the morning, wache in the afternoon, and fufu with palm nut soup by 8 p.m. as a healthy diet? It looks like he's reading my mind, though.
He said, do you want to go first?
Okay. Yeah, I can go. Yeah, this is a very great question. So I'll start off with this anecdote that says, eat breakfast like a king, eat lunch like a prince, and then eat dinner like a pauper, right? So in that description, it's kind of giving you an idea about how you can tailor down the density of the food, like with the time of the day. So one thing to note that you can make healthy choices, right? But there are other things that you need to consider when it comes to even the healthy choices, like as I mentioned before, the portion sizes, right? The calories in the food, and also the timing. The timing that you eat is important, right? If you are going to eat fufu and palm nut soup by 8 p.m. and you are going to get ready to sleep, then all the energy that food is going to produce, you are going to sleep. You are not going to use it. So what happens? All that extra calorie from that food is going to be stored as fat, right? So then it will be not surprising if you are gaining weight and you're not sure what you're doing. So it matters, the timing of the day and what you eat matters, right? So breakfast of oatmeal in the morning, it's an excellent idea. Oatmeal has whole grains, oatmeal has fiber, oatmeal has a lot of vitamins and vitamins and minerals. So that is a great idea. Wache in the afternoon is also a great idea. Wache has beans with all the things we mentioned, the proteins, the whole grain and the fiber. So excellent idea. But the timing does matter, right? If you I mean, as much as possible, as it's getting to the end of the day where you are less likely to use energy, right? It's better to go for lighter foods, right? Or even if you want to eat fufu, then don't take it to 8 p.m. Take it to like 5 or 6. That way you still have time to work it out. Go for a walk or do something to burn out all that energy. That energy. So anyway, Eric can add to that.
Yeah, so I mean, you've said it all. So then, like we said at the very beginning on what healthy eating is. So it's not necessarily restricting yourself or depriving yourself of foods you want to enjoy. So then, yes, every meal may form part of a healthy diet. Then we just keeping the principles in mind. So then, Priscilla has mentioned the issue of timing. So yes, so if you continuously eat food quite late and let the energy dense, at the end of the day, it's going to rather help you to rather gain weight, and which will also bring in some other health consequences. So then you could still have your oatmeal in the morning, there's no problem. You could have your watching in the afternoon, there's no problem. You could still have your fufu in the evening, there's no problem. So you keep in mind the timing, the portion, the quality of what is going into the meal, all of them counts. And at the end of the day, it's going to give you what you need to be able to maintain your health.
Yeah, so Priscilla mentioned something, and I wanted to ask this question. So, what do you guys think about, the wache and the wele? Does the wele play any role? Because, having wache without wele is like having Africa without Madagascar, right? But there's so many arguments about whether it plays any nutritional role. So let's answer that in 30 seconds.
Okay, so from the best of my knowledge, I really don't know what the nutritional content of wele is, but from what I have known from time immemorial is that it doesn't really have any nutritional value in quotes. While some have argued that out, that there could be some other nutrient that is still presenting. At the end of the day, the way it's also prepared to has raised some concerns too for some people because of the way they say they burn ties and all of that. So we need to just keep in mind that yes, it may not give you all that you need, but if it's going to replace something, probably the reason why you want to have the wele is because you don't want to have fish or you don't want to have egg. You probably want to consider the quality of what you are getting. So then if you're having wache and it's going to come with wele, what could have been the alternative to wele? Okay. And that be much better compared to the wele. So then, yes, it's not to say that, necessarily the wele is bad or anything like that. So because I can't really give much info because I don't know its nutritional content, we will still say that it's so helpful that you're able to make the right choices with the alternative that could be there, like the egg or the fish, which could play a better role, giving you proteins. And the beans in the plant, the wache too also gives some proteins too. So that you have to also take in mind. So that's some plant protein there. But then, again, you need to consider the quality of what you are getting. Is efficient enough to give you what you need? And that should be kept in mind.
Right. Thank you very much for those great information. So there's a question from Cristiano, who is pretty much concerned about GMOs. So he indicates that there's a great inside dynamic panel, but he's still concerned about GMO and the reality of pesticides, even as assumed healthy green plates kind of set the right meal. How do you deal with that threat against our food pyramid? That's a loaded question. So he's pretty much looking at what GMOs and how they play a role in our diet.
Yeah, let me attend to this question. So like I mentioned just a short while ago that the encouragement is that as much as possible, go in for whole foods, right? If you consider that important point about looking for foods that come in their natural state, then you are going to be safe from a lot of these GMO stuff as well. And I don't know if Ghana has a lot of the GMO stuff at this time, but I know we have to deal with that a lot here. So that brings the important point of reading labels, right? If you are going to be buying packaged food and processed food, it's important to read labels. And the GMOs, I think they are required to note that on the labels that this is a GMO product. So I mean, I don't have enough scientific information to say GMOs are not okay or okay. I don't have that now. But I mean, personally, as an individual, I try to avoid GMO foods if I can. I mean, I will try and look for like whole natural products that I can guarantee, because I don't know too much about the science and the complications of that. So
all right,
that's all I can say for now.
Okay, great discussion again. So as we're about to wrap up the show, I wanted to touch a little bit about snacking, right? Some of us wake up late in the night and we munchies, right? We try and eat anything we find in the kitchen. So what do you say about that? Is there a right way to snack, or you just can do it any time of the day?
Okay. So then I think that sometimes snacking gets bad mouths, that, or I mean, if you snack, then it means that you're going to put on weight. If you snack, it means that you can't follow a healthy diet. But then the important thing for us to note here is that snacking is not necessarily the problem. Okay, so it's not necessarily that if I snack, that is going to be the problem that I'm going to face. But then the choices you make, or what snack choices you pick, and sometimes what makes you, or what informs your decision to go and snack. So then there are some things that we often may recommend when we come to like helping you to snack and then not still derail from your healthy eating program or your healthy eating plan. So for example, it's very helpful not to skip meals, because then let's say, for example, you chose not to eat in the morning and you were late for work. Now you didn't have any plan in mind of what you want to eat. You are more likely to end up going in for whatever is available. So then most of the time, the choice that may be available may not be necessarily healthy. So then it's very important that if you want to follow a healthy meal plan and snack at the same time, you may want to avoid skipping meals. So that in that way, you don't necessarily get hungry to be pushing yourself to think about what to also take as a snack. Then your food environment is very important. So there's a concept called a seafood diet. So then it says that whatever you see, you would want to eat it. So then your food environment plays a very huge role to what will be your choice for a snack. So then if you decide to laden your fridge with a lot of, let's say, salt beverages with a lot of sugar, added sugars, then that is going to be the only snack options you have. But then when you decide that you want to be on a healthy, you want to go the healthy way, you can choose those healthy snacks you'd want to add onto your meal plan, and then create that environment that will be able to help you to make those right choices. So then what you see is what you tend to eat. So then when fruits are available, you would want to go in for that. And then the other thing that we should also keep in mind is that snacks can be carried along to work. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you always have to get snacks probably from where you're going to work. You can also plan it from home. Let's say cut fruits. You're going to go to work, and at 10, typically you would want to eat something. Maybe you eat around 6, 8 a.m. or 6, 7 a.m. before you leave for work. And by 10, you are feeling hungry. What would you want to eat? if you have a plan in mind, which we already discussed earlier, you could decide on carrying on some snacks. So you could cut on your fruit, you could cut on your vegetables. If you even want to take in some roasted plantain, you can have that in mind, plan for it, so that when you get to work, you are able to know what you want to also take. Then there's something about mindless eating. You know that thing that happens to you when you're watching television or you're doing something else, and then you realize that your plate is finished and you don't know how the food even got finished, because whilst you're eating, your mind was not really on the food you're eating. So then mindless eating can make you eat more than necessary. So then you need to be a little bit mindful about what you are eating when you are choosing your snack, so that you can also think about what you need to do. The other thing is that there are times where you'd want to really be sure that you're actually hungry. There are times where you may get hunger signals and you may think that, oh, I'm really hungry, I want to get something to eat. It may not necessarily be hunger. So sometimes what you may want to do is that maybe you may want to take in some water, or maybe just ask yourself whether in this moment, is this something, are you stressful, and will food be the answer to that question? If food is not the answer, then maybe you want to probably find a way of distressing, whether it's good music, whether it's to talk to a friend, social support network. It might not be food all the time. So then you need to be able to key in or zero in on what is actually making you feel hungry in that sense. So you can actually make the right snacking choices when you have a plan in mind, when you're able to tell yourself that this is what you want to be able to snack on. And then you're able to be mindful about the portions you want to have. And one thing too is that, for example, if I go and have a gallon of let's say plain yogurt, which I want to snack on, it's helpful that I rather would pour that in a cup that I would know the portion I'm having, rather than to drink directly from the container. Because in that way, I may end up drinking the whole thing. But if I'm mindful about, okay, I want to be able to just drink a cup of that plain yogurt rather than to drink the whole gallon or that small gallon of plain yogurt, then it helps me to keep myself in check, have my snack, have it the right way, and also I'm making that right choice as well.
All right, great information. And again, we are running out of time, and we need to have a part two of this discussion, because I have so many questions, that I wanted to ask. So as we're wrapping up, there's a question about coming from Roddy. It says, are meal plans always on individual basis, or can we have family meal plans as well? That's an interesting question. Can any of you help me with that?
I think I'll let the dietitian start off with that.
Okay. So meal plans can be individualized. We can also make meal plans for families. But like I already said earlier, because of the varying nutrient needs between different ages and then different sexes, sometimes if you decide to make a whole family plan on specific things, it might not necessarily meet everyone's needs. So yes, you could come up with a plan of the food choices that could run for the whole family. And then when it comes to, let's say, what amount each individual should have, those could be made on an individual basis, so that at the end of the day, everyone else is able to meet their nutrient needs. But nothing stops the family from having a plan together. But if you want to be able to make sure that you are having the right amount for each person in the family, there might be some individual things placed in just to make sure that everybody is having the right amount they need to have.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Priscilla, you have anything to add? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think this concept that we just talked about there, healthy eating plates, it's something that can translate to every gender, every age, right? It doesn't discriminate. But maybe if you're making family meals, right, depending on maybe someone is living with a chronic condition and all that, then you have to make up for the people that have special diets. But the encouragement is that if there's no specialized diet needed for anyone in the family, then we can all aim to tailor this kind of eating for everyone in the family, because charity begins at home. A lot of the chronic conditions that people struggle with later in life, it starts from childhood. Getting high cholesterol, atherosclerosis, like the high cholesterol issues and all that. It all starts from home. it all starts from a young age, right? So we shouldn't think that maybe when I'm 20 or 21, that's when I start building up, cholesterol in my arteries. Right from, baby, childhood, toddler, what they eat matters, right? And there are some people that are predisposed to like high blood pressure or high cholesterol. I mean, genetic disposition to that. So with them, like they can have, very high unhealthy cholesterol at a very early age. I knew of a child here who he was 8 years old, and his cholesterol levels was over 200, right? No one would ever have thought that a child would, have such high cholesterol levels. So, I mean, in summary, what I'm trying to say is that charity begins at home. Let's, focus on healthy eating for everyone in the family, right from when we are born till old age. So.
Right. Thank you very much to both of you. Wonderful discussion today about what we put inside our body. And again, we didn't talk too much about what we drink, right? So that's going to be part 2 of this discussion, right?
Okay.
We are running out of time. So we're going to bring you guys back. And again, this show is going to rebroadcast tomorrow at 5 p.m. We're going to have a rebroadcast of this on our channel. So we'll definitely bring you guys back. And again, I have plenty of questions that I couldn't answer because I couldn't get answers to because of time. So as we leave or wrap up the show, I want each one of you to give your last words to our listeners, and then we'll wrap up the show from there. So let's begin with ladies. Ladies first.
Yeah, I think we have the final slide that summarizes everything we want to say. So if you can show the last slide, and then we'll just focus on that. So this is a quote by Michael Pollan, who's written this book, and he said 3 sentences: eat food, not too much, and mostly plant. So with that, the emphasis is eat food. That comes to choose whole foods above processed or GMO or whatever. Choose whole natural foods, and not too much. Not too much means calories, right? So do not take too much food or put too much food on your plate. Be conscious of portion sizes, be conscious of calories, and mostly plants. And that's what we've tried to establish today, that you can't go wrong with vegetables. You can't go wrong with low starch vegetables. Make that the biggest part of your diet as much as possible. So, that's what I want to end. I don't know if Eric has something to add to that too.
Okay, so then, I mean, you said it all, but at the end of the day, I also want to just say that we should bite into a healthy lifestyle today. We sometimes have the mind that we can put off things for tomorrow. I mean, the risk is not there. So then I would want to wait till tomorrow before I start doing something. The take-home message should be bite into a healthy lifestyle today. I mean, eat healthy, exercise, sleep well, manage your stress. All these things are very important. If you're taking alcohol in moderate forms, if you don't take it at all, don't even start. Don't smoke. All these things are very important. At the end of the day, it's about what you do today that is going to influence what tomorrow is going to bring. And then with the current dietary guidelines available, there's a statement they make that make every bite count. And I think that line of message is very real, that you make every bite count. So everything you eat, you should make it count. So I just want to end with that phrase, to make every bite count.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, guys. And I can't thank you guys enough. We're going to bring you guys back for part 2 of this discussion about food and what we can take into our bodies that makes us, healthy. So without much ado, I'd like to, on behalf of HIA, thank you, Eric, and thank you, Priscilla, for coming on the show.